Time to say good morning now to a young man whose name is Alejandro Escobar. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm marvelous, and we're talking about Photomic.
That is correct.
What is that all about?
Photomic. Photomic is actually, in Spanish, it means Foro de la Microempresa, which in English is the Microenterprise Forum.
Okay. Now that makes sense to me. And why is the Micro Enterprise Forum so relevant for Barbados?
Right. So the Photomic has been operating for almost 14 years now. And every year, the Photomic is held in a different country. So it gathers people who are working in micro and small enterprise development. And so I think the importance of having it in Barbados this year is going to be the first time it's going to be held in the English-speaking Caribbean. So we're looking forward to it. And the whole idea of the photo is to bring experiences from organizations, banks, financial institutions on how to reach small and micro enterprises with finance.
Let's talk about some of the success stories of this forum in previous years, because you know there's so many skeptics in the small and medium-sized business. You know, because we're preaching all this kind of support, all these opportunities, and they never seem to realize. So I'm just wondering, talk about some of the success stories.
Well, it's interesting. When the Photomic started about 14 years ago, the first conference was held in Mexico. There were about 200 participants, mainly from nonprofit organizations, do-good organizations who were trying to reach small and micro enterprises with loans. Today, the Photomic has about 1,500 participants, or over 45 countries represented. And the topics have moved primarily to issues of savings, remittances, regulation, how to access finance for a larger number of people. Also, when the forum started 14 years ago, there were about 40 institutions working in all of Latin America. Today, there's close to 600, 700 institutions working in microfinance. And so Photomic has really come a long way. And the Photomic is a place where all these organizations get together to discuss the trends, the best practice, where the industry is going as a whole. And so we believe the sector as a whole has grown tremendously. And perhaps the topics and the issues have also changed. Maybe about 5 to 6 years ago, a lot of the topics were around regulation, supervision, monitoring of these institutions. Today, the conversations are more around how can these organizations compete with other financial institutions and reach more and more clients at the base of the pyramid.
When we talk about micro businesses, we often think about behind the desk and specific technical fields, but there's also the areas of agriculture. Share with us how we can actually grow agribusiness here within the Caribbean.
That's a very good point. One of the frontier areas, one of the areas of expansion of the Photomic and also of the microfinance field is agricultural and rural lending. That is still one of the untapped markets. And it seems that most organizations have shied away from agriculture because of the risks inherent in the activity. However, many institutions are now entering into agriculture as an opportunity. Many of the countries are focusing on export crops and commodities that have a lot of potential for higher value markets. So the financial institutions are looking at these sectors as a potential and are slowly adapting their loan portfolios and their loan practices to this sector.
As an agricultural economist, how receptive are the lending institutions in terms of small island developing states and just becoming self-sufficient in certain products? Because when you're looking at business, you're looking at profitability, you're looking at returns. But when you take a country like Barbados, if you develop a particular local crop, it reduces your import bill. How supportive is the forum in this regard?
I think the forum is supportive in looking at experiences from other countries that have similar situations as Barbados. Agriculture in general has moved and has diversified in many more ways than it has in the past. For example, we have the whole issue of certifications. Private certifications and standards are becoming the norm in agriculture. So now, if you were a country that produced coffee in the past, or you produced cocoa, now you cannot just afford to produce cocoa. You have to produce cocoa or coffee for a very specialized market, be that organic, be it fair trade, be it certified in one way or another. So opportunities are arising for higher value products, which used to be traditional commodities, now have a lot of potential because there's a lot of demand from consumers to know where their products are coming from. There's a strong interest in consumers in knowing where the lettuce, where the tomatoes that they eat every day are coming from. So that brings a lot of pressure on the buyers and the marketeers of these products to have that extra knowledge and capacity to know where their products are coming from. The advantage of having a local economy in an island is that you can have the opportunity to produce these products with technologies that are adaptable to the country, and people are going to demand locally produced products. So I think the key is how to understand the mechanics of how to finance these kinds of crops.
What is the message that you want to bring to the Barbadian public within the Forumic?
I think the message that we're trying to bring is what really the Forumic is about sharing experiences from other countries. And I think one of the key advantages here is that there's going to be a lot of organizations and people from outside of Barbados and from the region who are going to come and share their experiences. And as an industry conference, it brings a lot of experts in very particular fields. For example, remittances. We're going to be having a close look at how remittances are being managed by some of these microfinance institutions and how to redirect some of these remittances to productive sectors. We're also going to talk about how youth and finance relate, and how youth can start saving early on in their lives, and how they can also become aware of financial services that some of these organizations can provide.
How do we get on board, and when do we actually start this forum?
Yes, the forum is going to be held October 1st to the 3rd. We're still in the stages of organizing all of the events, but you can look at our website, iadb.org, and in there you will see what the panels are intended to look like, what are some of the main topics that are going to be discussed in the Forumic. We're still lining up the key speakers and the presenters. We, as the FOMIN and the Inter-American Development Bank, have had a successful project in the Caribbean with microfinance called CARICAP, and it's been a program to support and strengthen English-speaking Caribbean microfinance institutions. So we're going to see the results of that project also, and the idea is to learn about how this project evolved in the Caribbean.
Wonderful stuff. Alejandro Escobar.
Yes.
It's awesome to actually see that we can actually make a link between the two. We want to thank you for being with us here on Morning Barbados and sharing with us how we can grow and develop our micro businesses, particularly in agriculture, Doug. And
yeah, I
those
thought
other sectors.
that was particularly interesting. We look forward to hearing more about this economic forum, and we trust Barbadians will support this initiative when it comes around in October.
Great, thank you very much.
And we'll be back in just a moment.